Le Mans 1966, a 24-hour war. Two teams, one obsession. Ford versus Ferrari, a clash of titans. 24 hours, 3,000 miles, rain, fire, betrayal. A battle of egos and engineering. The race that changed racing and destroyed a hero. In 1966, two automotive titans waged a billion-dollar war. One was a corporate giant, the other a racing legend. This is the true story of Ford versus Ferrari, a clash of egos, engineering, and the man who sacrificed everything to win. In 1963, Henry Ford II tried to buy Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari didn't just say no, he mocked Ford's ugly little cars. The insult cost Ford $25 million and sparked the greatest rivalry in racing history. After Ferrari's humiliation, Ford wasn't just aiming to compete, they were out for vengeance. And there was only one battleground fit for settling the score: Le Mans, a grueling 24-hour war where only the fastest, toughest and most relentless machines could survive. To win Le Mans, Ford needed more than engineers. They needed racers. So Ford hired the right men for the job. Carroll Shelby, a former Le Mans champion turned car builder.
My name's Carroll Shelby, and performance is my business.
And Ken Miles, a hot-tempered mechanic with a genius for speed. Together they were Ford's only hope and Ferrari's worst nightmare. Shelby and his team, along with Ken Miles, set out to build the ultimate racing machine, the Ford GT40. But turning Ford's vision into reality was anything but easy. Ford's first attempts at Le Mans were disastrous. The GT40 was fast but unreliable. It overheated, brakes failed, and Ferrari laughed. But Shelby and Miles weren't just mechanics. They were warriors. Every failure was a lesson. Every wreck was a step closer to perfection. Shelby and Miles turned junk into genius: a lightweight chassis, a 7,000 RPM V8 engine, and a secret ingredient: sheer rage. The biggest enemy wasn't Ferrari. It was Ford's own executives. They wanted a safe, marketable race team. Shelby wanted to win, no matter what it took. And Ken Miles? He just wanted to go fast. The real battle wasn't Ford versus Ferrari. It was rebels versus robots. The war wasn't just on the track. It was in the boardroom. To prove the GT40 was worthy, Shelby put Henry Ford II in the passenger seat and let the car do the talking. Shelby gave Ford's CEO a taste of pure terror. After a terrifying ride, Ford wasn't just convinced, he was hooked. The order was clear: go to Le Mans, beat Ferrari. Before Le Mans, there was Daytona, a proving ground of speed and endurance. Ford entered the GT40, but Ferrari was there too, ready to defend their legacy. This wasn't just a race. It was a declaration of war. Miles drove like a man possessed, wringing every ounce of speed from the GT40. But the car wasn't ready. It overheated. It broke down, it nearly killed him. Yet every failure was a lesson. Every setback, a step closer to perfection. Sebring was more than just a race. It was a final test, a place to send a message to Ferrari that Ford was ready. That Ken Miles was coming. Miles danced with danger. Ferrari's engine screamed, but Miles was relentless. Victory at Sebring wasn't just about crossing the finish line first. It was about sending a message, loud and clear. This is it. Le Mans 1966, the world's most grueling race. 24 hours of speed, chaos, and survival. Ferrari ruled this track for years, undefeated, unchallenged. But today, Ford is here to end that reign. At the heart of it all, Ken Miles, a man with nothing to lose and everything to prove. This isn't just a race. It's a battle for legacy, and the clock is ticking. Le Mans was no ordinary race. It was an endurance test designed to break cars, drivers, and spirits. Ferrari knew this track. They owned it, mastered every curve, every gear shift. But Miles, he wasn't just racing Ferrari. He was racing time itself. Through the pouring rain and darkness, with tires skidding on waterlogged tarmac, Miles kept pushing, beyond fear, beyond pain. He was racing on instinct, feeling every vibration, every pulse of the GT40 beneath him. Ferrari didn't just race, they played dirty. They blocked, they sabotaged, they manipulated. But Ford had Shelby's grit, and Miles's "I don't give a damn" smirk. Miles didn't flinch. To him, rules were mere suggestions, and if Ferrari wanted a war, he was ready to fight to the last breath. In the dead of night at 200 miles per hour, the line between courage and insanity blurred. Miles was faster than ever, breaking records, shattering Ferrari's ego lap after lap. For the first time, Ferrari felt fear. Their dynasty, their legacy. It was slipping away with every roar of the GT40's engine. Miles wasn't just driving. He was taming a beast, a machine that wanted to tear itself apart. It wasn't just about winning. It was about proving he was the best driver on Earth. 24 hours and the war raged on. As dawn broke over Le Mans, exhaustion set in. But for Miles, the race was just beginning. Victory wasn't just about crossing the finish line. It was about crushing Ferrari's soul. And just as victory was within his grasp, politics intervened. Corporate pride demanded a show, 3 Fords crossing the line together. But in that moment, Miles realized winning wasn't enough, not if it meant losing his soul. 3 Fords, side by side, it was a spectacle designed for history books, a symbol of Ford's dominance, orchestrated for the perfect photo finish. But behind the glory was a cruel twist. In their pursuit of corporate victory, they robbed Ken Miles of his. He crossed first, but the rules declared another the winner. In that moment, victory never felt so hollow. They took his victory, his legacy, with a single decision. But they couldn't take his spirit. On that track, against all odds, Ken Miles did the impossible. And legends, they're made of more than just trophies. As the crowd cheered Ford's triumph, Enzo Ferrari stood silently, his gaze fixed on the man who truly conquered the race. No applause, no words, just a nod, a silent salute from one racer's soul to another. In that brief moment, Ken Miles earned something no trophy could give: the respect of a legend. Just 2 months after Le Mans, Ken Miles was back where he belonged, behind the wheel, pushing the limits once again. But on that fateful day in August 1966, the machine failed the man. The car veered, flipped, and in an instant, the road lost one of its greatest warriors. There were no trophies, no parades, only an empty track and the echo of an engine that would never roar again. Ken Miles didn't just race, he lived for it. And in the end, he left the world the only way he knew how, at full speed. Ford won the battle, but Ferrari won the war. Today, Ferrari dominates F1. Ford's GT40, a museum relic. But in garages worldwide, rebels still whisper 7,000 RPM. Hit that bell, rev your keyboard, and tell us, was Ken Miles the real winner? Or did corporate greed steal his crown? Let's debate and keep the legend alive.